fenirob here. Welcome to episode 2 of the consolidating my little board games into storage boxes I got at Hobby Lobby. I will be showing you what is in box 2 and box 3. If you haven't seen the first video, I'll put a card up here so that you can click to it, because you don't want to watch the sequel before you see the first movie, right? Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and see what's in box number 2. This box, again, comes from Hobby Lobby. I think I spent $15 on it, $14.99. I'll try to put a link in the description below so you can pick this up for yourself if you're interested. It was the cheapest by far. I think I saw one similar item of this about $44, and $14.99 wasn't even on sale for this thing. So let's take a look and see what's inside here. The first box, let's see what's in here. Drinking dice. This was a game, I guess, that I picked up off the dregs of some sort of clearance pile somewhere. And the concept is, they even tell you in the instructions that you can use these in any games that use 8-sided dice. So if you're playing D&D, you might want to roll these, and when that comes up, you can kind of turn it into a drinking game. Anyway, it's been sitting on my shelf for a long time, and I figured I would carry this with me on a vacation someday and maybe use the dice. In this one, it has Port Royale. This is the Steve Jackson version of the game. The box itself isn't very large, but it is a little bit larger than I would like for this size of game. Pretty cool box art there. This has just been reprinted in a big box edition, not by Steve Jackson, and it's a pretty nice box art. But I've had the old one, and I figured, I just got the chance to play it, and I'll put a link or a card so you can watch our playthrough of the new art. But this game is really, really good. Little push your luck sort of tableau builder where you're just trying to get 12 coins, but it's much better than that sounds. Highly recommend it. Little pirate theme. Well done, Port Royal. Here we have Dragon Flame. This was a game that I've had forever. I think it came out in, I don't know, 2015, something like that. This is one where you're basically trying to get loot. You're the dragons. You're trying to burn villages and get the most treasure. It's pretty cutthroat. You can program cards into each location. They may be treasure, they may be poison, they may be bad things, and you're taking your chances when you attack a village to get points. This was a pretty clever game. It's been sitting on my shelf forever and I haven't played it. In fact, I'm not even sure if my copy's been open. I don't think it has, but I've played it a few times, and this is a pretty clever game. So it stays in the collection for now, and it's in this carrying case so that it'll go with me wherever the rest of these games go. Another one that I really enjoy, this is called Treasures and Traps. This to me is what I wish Munchkin was. You're basically doing the same thing. These cards are different locations and monsters, and I think you're just trying to get one monster of the 3 different types into your tableau, your graveyard. But this is a really clever little game. It scratches the D&D itch, and it doesn't go on forever, sometimes like Munchkin does. Highly recommend it. I also like the art on the cards, Treasures and Traps. It will go with me now where I like. Let's see, what do we have in here? Harold, I think is how you say that. This is a game from Eagle Griffin. This is one that reminds me a little bit of the game Capital Lux that was in the first episode of this consolidation type video, organization video. I'll try to put a card for that as well. Capital Lux is a tableau building game, but you're sending people into the capital city, and they become available for other people to use. Same thing with Harold. It's one of these, if you have it in front of you, you do what it says, but you can't score it. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I do know that this was a pretty clever game. The art is pretty nice too. It's kind of a mean game. I know there's some take that in it, but Eagle Griffin always does a great job with components and art, and I don't know that I've played a bad game that they make, by the way. I see already that I put this one in backwards and it's going to bother me for every time I watch this. So that's that. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, another one. Beautiful game. Arboretum. Card game. I think it's by Renegade Games. Very good game. Beautiful art, but it is so mean, can be so mean. And the decisions are excruciating for just having to play one card every turn. This is a really good card game. We've played it with our friends. They love it. We love it, but we end up getting pretty mad with each other by the end of the game. Next up, let's see, one of my all-time favorite games. This one's called Loot. This is a pirate-themed game again. This game is by Game Right. You're going around sending your own merchant ships around, hoping they don't get attacked by pirates. You reassess what's yours and what you're attacking on every time it comes back around to you. This game is one of the most fun games you'll play, and I think it plays at least up to 6. It might actually play 8 players, and when you play in teams, when you're playing over, I think, 6 players, and at that point, unlike most card games where you play in teams, you're usually across from your partner. In this game, you sit next to your partner and you can look at each other's hands. This is a very good game. I think it might have won a Mensa award at some point. Sometimes the colors are a little bit difficult to see on this one. They're very similar, but this is really an all-time great card game in my opinion, and it makes the cut into the big box of consolidation. Here we have, I think 2 games in here. We've got No Thanks, which is really one of the best gateway games I think ever made. We play this all the time with our friends again. I think it plays up to 7. And then there's a game called Dead Drop, which it's been around forever. I don't even know if they make it anymore, but it is a good sort of, it's like a werewolf type of game, social deduction type of game. You can play it in 10 minutes or less. It's a good game, and I figured this was a good one. I would take this box out to play No Thanks, and then maybe get a game of Dead Drop in there. So it makes the cut. It doesn't take up a lot of room. Some of these boxes don't latch as well when you don't have as much stuff in them, but you're putting them in these little slots here that are handy, so they're really not going to go anywhere. And the top closes. So here we have a game that I got as a gift. This game goes to 11. If you're a fan of Spinal Tap, you'll know exactly what that means. In this one, the card backs are amplifiers. This one is basically where you're just trying to stack cards on top of each other. If you go over 11, you have to take the stack and you're trying to get the fewest amount of points. So it's a pretty clever little game. The whole thing is 1 deck of cards. And the box was relatively large. I mean, heck, there you go. It has a guitar pick in it that won't be making the cut, but the game made the cut. And then here we have one of the, I think, 2 iterations of Love Letter that I put in these boxes. This is Letters to Santa. That's a pretty cool game. It's basically, instead of getting it to the princess, you're trying to get it to Santa. You got elves, you got other things, but it is Love Letter without any rules changes, I don't think. Maybe there's 1 rules change like some of the iterations have, but it's a good one to bring out during the holidays. Here's another one that's themed for a holiday. This is I think of it as a Halloween game. It's called Rest in Peace. This game is a 2-player battle where you are playing cards into the center of the table, trying to win. Almost, it reminds me of a game called Battle Line, which also made it into these boxes by Reiner Knizia. This one I highly recommend as a quick 2-player game. It's got some symbols that you have to learn, but it probably takes 1 or 2 games to be able to figure that out. And then, there's not a lot of 2-player Halloween-themed games that kind of give you that feeling of pumpkin spice and witches and warlocks and whatnot. So I don't know why I'm saying warlocks. I'm a D&D nerd, so there we go. Here is one of my favorite 2-player games, and I really do need to make a video of this for the channel. 1 player plays Jack, the other one plays the Giant, and you've got several beanstalks that you're building cards onto. that are available to both players, but each player is basically working mostly their own side of the stack. The giant takes a lot longer to score points, but usually when the giant does, they get a bunch of points, and Jack's chipping away. This is really a clever two-player game. Highly recommend it. It's been hiding somewhere on my shelf, and now it's going to go with me anytime I take out the game. Remind me to play the little games on my shelf. Best Treehouse Ever, another Scott Alms game, Tiny Epic Galaxies, Tiny Epic series. This is a clever game where you're building a bunch of treehouse rooms. No card is the same in this game. All the art is different. It's very clever, cute. It does take up a lot of table room to build your treehouse, and there's a balance mechanism about you can't put too many cards on one side because you don't want the treehouse to tip over. Very clever game. Small box, but a lot to think about. It's a drafting game, pretty much, I think, if I recall correctly. It's been a while since I played it. Here's Battle Line, Reiner Knizia, another tug-of-war type of situation where you have your cards, battles across the middle. You're trying to, I think it's, you want to get the best out of 7. You're trying to break through the battle line in theory, but it's basically an abstract game that uses poker style, three of a kind, straights, flushes, those sorts of things to win. Another one of those games kind of reminds me of Lost Cities. Every card you put down, you just know your opponent's going to abuse you. You don't want to get rid of any cards, but you have to. Great game. Again, Reiner Knizia, I love his stuff. If you're a Knizia fan, that's a no-brainer. Here's Regular Love Letter. And then one of my all-time favorite, maybe the best gateway game that I'm aware of, called Deep Sea Adventure, another Oink game. This one, you're all sharing oxygen and a sub, but you're trying to dive deeper and deeper out. You jump out of the sub and try to get treasures. Thing is, oxygen doesn't start depleting until someone starts taking treasure, and then it becomes a commentary on humanity, basically. It turns ugly real quick. Great little game, super fun, 100% guaranteed. Never had a single person who played that, gamer or non-gamer, that didn't end up having a great time. Highly recommend it. One of the all-time best gateway games, if not the best. One of our favorite Christmas games. This is sort of like the Great Dalmuti, basically a trick-taking game. But the thing is, there's 1-1, 2-2s, 3-3s, all the way up to 12-12s. It's 2 halves of a game. The first half, you're trying to secure as many cards as you can, and lower wins the trick. But at the end, you go back through and announce whatever everybody has in their hand. You always have 12 cards. The 12s, whoever has the most 12s in their hand at the end of the game will get 12 points. So there's this sort of moment where you realize that continuing to get lower cards is important, but you're trying to also collect sets of the higher cards, even though they don't help you out. It's the 12 Days of Christmas. Great game. The art's really cool. I really dig the art on this. We play this every year. I made a video of us playing last year, and you can check it out on the channel. Fun game. And here we have another one of my all-time favorite 2-player games that doesn't just get a chance to play. I mean, this game is old. I think it came out in 2014. This is Star Wars Empire versus Rebellion. One person is the Empire, one person is the Rebellion, and you're basically, it's kind of has almost like a magic feel to it in some way, because you're tapping cards or untapping cards. Can't say that. But it really does. You go through different battles in the Star Wars trilogy, the original one, and by that I mean 1977, and you're basically fighting back and forth, trying to get a total number of victory points. And so it's a pretty clever game. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of canceling of other people's cards. It's pretty much a timing thing, and it also has this little element of blackjack to it, because you really want to stay, I think it's under 21 or 13. I can't remember what the number is, but there's a lot to think about in this game, but it's very thematic in a little box. So there you have it for this one. I think in this box, there's going to be something around 20 20 to 22 games in here, something like that. You probably can count. Maybe I'll put something in here in a summary, but that's it. These are pretty nifty. I'd say this thing probably weighs somewhere between 5 and 10 pounds, but man, there's a lot of games in here for that. So that's it for this box. We're gonna make a quick look, I think, at this last box that I got, and I'll show you. I also picked this one up at Hobby Lobby because there were some games I wanted to be able to carry around that kind of sit on the shelf that were a little bit thicker, that didn't quite go with the 1-inch thickness. So this was, I think, $6. So I figured I'd give it a shot. It's got a little carrier here. I'd say this weighs somewhere about 2 to 3 pounds, maybe. I guess it depends on what you put in it. But it's one of these that has these little clips on the side, and it's harder to open. There we go. But this comes off, and then you basically have to take off the other ones as well, and they lift off like that. So there's not separate tops. I guess you could put that on top if you wanted to. But in here, I was able to get quite a bit of stuff too. I have pears, which I have shown and got it into one of the little boxes, but this is another set of art. This is Professor somebody or others. I can't remember which one this one is, but it's got some weird sort of macabre type stuff on here, creepy stuff. And then we have the travel copy of Brew Crafters, which is really a clever game for a travel thing. You really do build a brewery. Brew Crafters, the main game, is one of our all-time favorites here in our household. And so I highly recommend both of those games. All right, so that's it for that one. And then let's see what's below it. In here we have Citadels, the classic, Citadels Classic. This is a great action selection kind of game where you're just trying to get money and build up your citadel, obviously. And then also in here we have Lord of the Rings Journey to Mordor. This is a push your luck game, sort of like Zombie Dice, Dragon Slayer, that sort of thing, a Yahtzee style game with a little, with a Hobbit twist to it. Fun game. You are competing against each other as the Hobbits, which is weird, but I like it. It works. Anything Lord of the Rings will do the trick for me. In here we have Musée, I guess you say it that way. This is another Eagle Griffin game where you are trying to collect art in a museum. In theory, I mean, the pictures are pretty nice. Obviously, it's got some classic art. I put the little tiles in here. This is an Alf Siegert game. A lot of his games, I'm not sure, most of them don't have actual boards. You're usually building the board by putting out little places on the table that aren't an actual board. In this game, you're basically going to be playing one card out of your hand and trying to make rows and columns that have that ascend in numerical order. Pretty clever game. That's kind of how it shows you how to build the board. I really like that one. It's really a two-player game, and it's very, very nicely done. And then in the bottom box, this one's a little bit thicker than the others. I have Skull, which is one I always like to take on a vacation. Great game. Nice little drinking game as well. And then a game called Money. That is a Sid Saxon game, I believe. Another Eagle Griffin game. Oh, I take it back. It's a Knizia game. I didn't even realize that. Another reason to check it out. It's an Eagle Griffin game where you're collecting sets of money, and you can only take one set of money no matter what's in it each time. And if you take someone else's, they get to take some they get to take one of them out of the middle of the table or from another player. Very clever little game. One that, again, sits on my shelf hiding in a tiny box, usually in a deck box that I can't even see what game it is. Now it'll be buried in here, but when I go to take Skull out, I'll remember that I have money. So that is it for this. I will leave you with these little organization things. I've always wanted to kind of consolidate some of the games that were on my shelf that kind of get lost in the cracks. And I'm hoping that by having this here, it will remind me to look in here and see what I've got. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Take care.